Blog Talk Radio.
The following broadcast is brought to you by the iGolf Sports Network.
Golf Talk Live is sponsored by the iGolf Sports Network and Golf Tips Magazine. Here's Andrew to tell you more about our sponsors.
iGolf Sports is a live stream broadcast and media production company providing quality programming designed to attract the golfing enthusiast. And Golf Tips, the game's most in-depth instruction magazine, including reviews on the latest equipment, tips from top teaching professionals, all designed to help you improve from tee to green. Welcome to Golf Talk Live with your host, Ted Odorico. Join Ted each week as he speaks with some of the best in golf. Sit back, relax, and listen to tonight's show. Let's join our host, Ted Odorico, as he introduces tonight's special guest.
All right, good evening, everybody, and once again, welcome to Golf Talk Live. I'm your host, Ted Odorico, and we've got a great show for you this evening. I'm going to be joined by my very special guest tonight, Lisa O'Hurley. She is the founder and CEO of LOHLA Sports, and this is her first time on Golf Talk Live. She's been on the Women of Golf show on Tuesday mornings with my good friend and co-host Cindy Miller and I, and she's actually going to be joining us a little bit later on the season on that show as well, but this is her first time tonight on Golf Talk Live, and she's going to be joining me here in just a moment. But let me remind everybody, of course, we are live every Thursday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. Central, except for the month of February, of course, is my, as I've always put it, my Golf Talk Live light show, where we do just strictly an hour broadcast on Thursdays. And then next week, March the 7th, I'll be going to my full 2-hour broadcast and, of course, returning the Coach's Corner panel on the first half, which would be this time slot. And then the second half from 7 to 8 Central will be the regular guest interview portion of it. So don't forget to tune in next Thursday for the full broadcast with Coach's Corner and my special guest of the evening. And then on March 14th, which will be the following week, we'll be inserting a new segment, a golf travel segment, going in between the Coach's Corner and the special guest interview for roughly about 20 minutes. My good friend Robert Kaufman from California will be joining us. He is a senior editor for travel for Golf Tips Magazine, as well as some other publications. He's going to be joining me and a group of very good guys from a lot of different travel organizations from around the United States. That's going to be happening beginning March 14th, and also at the end of March, the fourth week of March, will be another guest that will be coming on that time slot. So we're going to be doing a few things throughout the season. Every second and fourth Thursday of the month, we'll be hosting the golf travel segment, and this will be an opportunity for you guys to hear about some great destinations for maybe that upcoming buddy trip that you've been wanting to plan. We're going to give you some spots to go and some destinations that you want to consider on that list. So make sure you tune in for that as well. And as I said, March 7th, we'll be starting the full broadcast next week. So on that note, let me introduce tonight's guest. As I mentioned, her name is Lisa O'Hurley, and she is the founder and CEO of LOHLA Sports. Lisa's impressive background includes being a former Golf Channel and GOLFINO executive. She also has a lifelong love for golf clothing and an impeccable sense of style. She was also a star for 4 years on Baylor University's women's golf team. It has a 4 handicap and typically plays out of her home course, Sherwood Country Club. And we're going to talk about that because she's got something interesting to share with us that her and her husband, John, and speaking of which, of course, her husband is John O'Hurley, who most of you recognize that name as the individual who played Jay Peterman on Seinfeld. He also hosted Family Feud and was the lead in Chicago on Broadway. So we'll maybe squeak a little bit about him on the show tonight, as well as some other things. But on that note, please welcome my very special guest this evening, Lisa O'Hurley. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ted. It's great to be here. What an intro.
Well, I could have gone on
really
for much longer, but but I knew that I had to get some questions in here as well. So I want to start off with a couple of things. So I know that I went and you went, obviously for different reasons, to the PGA show back in late January of this year. And I know this was was this the second season or had you been there more than, I know you were there the previous year.
Actually,
What year was this
we
for
were.
you?
So for LOHLA Sport, well, for me personally, it was my 30th. Can you believe that? I should have gotten a watch, I think, but nonetheless, for LOHLA Sport, it was our 4th PGA show. We were actually one of the few that participated during that ever so lonely COVID year of 2021. But you know, the good thing about that was actually a pretty good show for us because we debuted LOHLA Sport at the PGA show there, 2021. And, you know, there were to be honest, there were so few people that went that I think that all of the clubs that came and all the resorts that came, I think we talked to everyone. So that was good. That was a good spot. But no, this is LOHLA Sports' 4th PGA show.
Wow. And I know because being with Golf Channel and GOLFINO and that, you obviously had other opportunities before that, hence the 30 or so years that you've been there. But
yeah.
I didn't want to say it. I wasn't going to throw that out there. I'll let you say that. But but I wasn't sure how many years you had gone for your company, LOHLA Sport. So what was interesting is, and I want you to just get your perspective, because obviously last year was sort of the first year that it really started to pick up post-COVID. Mm-hmm. And this year, of course, was even that much more. What was your overall impression this year? How did you find it personally with the interaction? Did you find it getting back to more of a busy vibe this season? And overall, how would you rate it for LOHLA?
Well, you know, for LOHLA, it was great. And I will say I was completely exhausted when I got home. So that means it was busy as ever. You know, none of us had an opportunity to have lunch at the LOHLA Sport booth. So I guess that shows just exactly how busy we were. And that was really great to see post-COVID and to see all of those people back. And, you know, not only did we get to engage with our current customers, but we certainly met a lot of new customers. And we met a lot of new ones from really from all over the world. We had several clubs from Ireland stop in, which was fun. Several from Canada, your home turf. Mm-hmm. And it was really nice to see that our brand name is starting to grow sort of in a global way. And to be honest, I think we have Annika to thank for that in a lot of ways. And in fact, this was her first time at our booth during the PGA show. I mean, she's come before, but never did she actually spend some time and do photographs and autographs. And it was a swarm. So it's so fun and interesting to see what her presence does in a room full of golfers. So that was really a special time. And not only did she, I want to say this publicly, not only did she sign autographs and did she take photos, but she actually came over to a couple of our meetings and showed the clothes. So, you know, I did tell her, don't quit your day job, but she did a pretty good job.
Yeah, that's good. I wish she would be back more, you know, and I know she does a lot of things in golf, and I really, to be honest, I watch a lot of the LPGA events, and I really miss having her on the LPGA because she was such a dominant force, much like Tiger was for so many years. And it was really kind of sad when she decided to retire from competitive golf. Yeah. And I know she has other things, and, you know, at some point you have to do that. But my opinion, I thought it was a little bit too preemptive for her. I would have hoped she had stayed a few more seasons, but you know, you never know what will happen down the road. But she was always very interesting to watch.
For sure. Oh, and she still is. But you know, one of the wonderful things that I love about Annika is that she shares many of the common values of our customer. And, you know, we have, obviously we're a ladies brand, so we have lady customers. But, you know, that was a time in her life where here she was at the top of her game and decided to basically close the book on it so that she could have, you know, a healthy marriage and family. And which she does now. I mean, she's maybe the greatest wife and mom of all of my friends that I know. And it's so much fun to watch her be successful in so many aspects of life. And now she is getting a little bit back more into competition. She's playing a bit more. You know, I mean, especially watching her and Will play in the PNC. I mean, that was heartstrings everywhere for that one. So it's just great to see how her whole life truly has been, you know, one gigantic success. And, you know, and going forward, she's maybe one of the biggest ambassadors for the game of golf that there is. I mean, truly, She has,
Yeah.
her fingerprint in junior golf and ladies golf and amateur golf and professional golf and European golf. I mean, she really is everywhere. In fact, she and I were planning something in June, and she said, well, I can't, Lisa. I've got to, I have to go to the Olympics and, put medals on the winners. Okay, well, that sounds like more important than what I had planned. She really, she's overwhelming actually in the sport of golf. And it's fun to be like, in her car, not necessarily in the driver's seat, but I'm somewhere in that car watching it happen. And it's really fun.
Yeah. And, it's a real testament to the LPGA organization having, very strong women like Annika, because, when you look at compare, and I don't want to get down a whole rabbit hole with this, but when you compare it to, the men's tour, the LPGA just, in my opinion, outshines when it comes to giving back and that compared to what the men do. And I know the men do a lot of great things too. I'm not trying to knock them, but, they're just so busy in the communities and just doing other things and junior golf and so forth. So I'm not surprised that she has a pretty full schedule. Obviously didn't have a lot of time with everything else going on in her life to be able to be out there and be at a competitive level. Because that's the thing is, it's like Jack Nicklaus talked about towards, as he gravitated towards the end of his career, and same with Arnold, both on the men's side, when it got to a certain point that they recognized that, hey, it was time to, sort of pack it in. And it wasn't just because they, felt that they couldn't compete anymore, but they just had, by that time they had grandkids and all these other things going on, and they just had so much going on outside of competitive golf. And they had done so much, just as Annika has done in her career. So, we might miss her, but obviously she's got a lot on her plate, so we give her a pass on that. So I want to.
She does.
She's great, and I just a great ambassador of the game. So let's talk about, before we get into sort of the meat of what you do. Obviously, your company is a fashion company in sports, and particularly obviously in golf. I want you to give your thoughts of what you consider the state of golf fashion today. Where is it at today compared to, say, what it was even a decade ago?
Or even, let's try 2-3 decades ago when I started playing golf, and, was fishing through the boys section of the Gap trying to find something to wear. I mean, we've come a long way.
I still do that.
Okay. Well, there you go. And, and to circle back to the recent PGA show, I mean, I think there was a slew of brand new brands this year. And I think golf fashion is actually at a huge high right now. I mean, it's been a long time since we've seen new brands surface, and especially in the way that they have, I would say, over the past year and a half. And I think a lot of that has to do with new people coming to the game, and we do have COVID to thank for that. So that we, people had time on their hands, and it was considered marked safe. And so hence there were people playing golf. And, there were probably people, men and women alike, who were out there saying, you know what, I think I could do this better, or I think that golf is missing this piece or this category or whatever it is, which I think is a great thing. I think the more that golf fashion builds, the more popular it becomes. And, in sort of in the same way that like equestrian or ski has become so big. I mean, ski wear is, it's not really just for skiing. People will go, they buy those, different brands of what would be considered ski wear, but you're wearing them, in your everyday life. Well, golf is the same way. And so, and it's really important to think of, I mean, in every piece we make, we think of that. We think, okay, this person's going to be playing golf, but you know what she's also going to be doing? She's also going to be going to lunch with her friends, and she could be taking a flight to Paris, and she could be, winning her club championship all in the same day. So let's make sure that these clothes can accommodate for her.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And, something else that I just learned, and I knew that there's been a big uptick, if you will, in more women to the game, and I didn't realize, my chin, hit the floor when I heard this number the other day in another conversation with somebody on another program. And according to the National Golf Foundation, last year there were a little over 800,000 women got into the game of golf last year.
Wow, that's amazing.
That is a huge.
Good for them.
Now I don't have the demographics as far as what age groups, the bulk of them were. Obviously, I know there's a lot of juniors and you know, and up, but that's, I believe, the biggest number in one season that have come into the game. So that's obviously someone like yourself who really caters to, you know, that female market. That just, I mean, you just have to be saying to yourself, wow, I mean, that's just an incredible number to be coming into the game. And your function really becomes even that much more important to be able to provide some great options. And, you know, there is a correlation between, you know, having great clothes and people wanting to, nowadays it's, you know, it's not just, like you said, sifting through, you know, old Gap, clothes and trying to find something that fits and whatever. It's all about self-expression and self-confidence. So how do you sort of put all that together? Because it's not just about, you know, wearing, you know, any old shirt or any old, you know, pants or what have you. It's about an expression now or self-expression, and really helping to build that confidence when you're out there, not just on the golf course, but off the course, as you mentioned. Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, and I think that's that goes with, you know, golfers or non-golfers alike. I mean, if you look good, you feel good, and you do feel comfortable in whatever aspect of life you're in the middle of right now. But I will say that well, personally at LOHLA Sport, you know, we do think about that. We think about how these women are going to wear the clothes and if they will be just playing golf that day or will be doing other things. This is one of the things that drew Annika to us, is that she said, when I wear LOHLA Sport, I don't feel like I look like I have a glove hanging out of my back pocket, which I thought was a great quote from her, because, you know, in essence what she's saying is I don't look so golfy. You know, I'm still playing golf in these clothes, but I could go anywhere and look great. So, and I think that that's really an important thing that we think about in every piece we make and every collection we make. And, you know, and since these new people, 800,000, if you will, have started playing the game recently, women, you know, we also think about, too, a little bit about the style of it. So, you know, these women may not, you know, they may not feel completely comfortable just jumping into what we would consider golf clothes, the polo shirt and the skirt. I mean, they might want something a little bit more like, you know, what they're used to, maybe like, you know, more the athleisure look. So we make some pieces for that. And, you know, we kind of cater to, you know, as many different types of people as we can while keeping in the same style. You know, I'm a firm believer that once you kind of have a personal style, that you don't jettison that style just because you play golf. So, you know, for instance, I like to wear certain brands, you know, most of which can be found at Neiman Marcus, as my husband can attest to our Neiman Marcus bill. But those brands, if I like to wear those brands off the course, you know, that's sort of the kind of look I like. And LOHLA Sport is a representative of, you know, of a sports line that is similar to those brands, but on course. So I wanted something that had the same sort of style, where I could maintain my style, you know, even and especially because I'm a golfer.
You know, and you're exactly right. And as I mentioned, you know, people are looking for something different. The traditional golf wear, and as I've mentioned to you, and I won't go into it again because I've probably said this to you about half a dozen times when you've been on our other program about, you know, the men's line out there. I mean, they are getting better. I wish there was something a little bit more in my age bracket. I'm, you know, going to be hitting the 6-0 in about 2 weeks. So, you know, there's not really a lot for guys my age that's really appealing. I'm talking about in the golf industry. I mean, you can get things, polos and whatever, but there's not really a lot of men's fashion. So we have to be a little bit more diligent in our looking. And it's just, you know, again, I understand it. But for women now, there are so much available. And you want the versatility too, right, Lisa? I mean, you don't want to just, again, as Annika pointed out, you know, it's nice to have golf clothes, but it has to be more versatile in today's market, because people don't want to have to feel like they've got to change 2 or 3 times. They want to be able to wear something they can play on the golf course and then maybe add an accessory or whatnot, and now they can go out and have, you know, a meeting or whatever, or have a nice meal with some colleagues, right?
Absolutely. You know, because we're just all so busy now. And I think, you know, what too is COVID has brought a lot of people who might work from their house or work remotely, and that brings in a whole other group or a whole other different thought behind fashion. because, I mean, you know, as we used to joke that during COVID, we would all be in our pajamas. Well, it's not that so much anymore, but people want to be comfortable all day long. They're not so much getting in a suit and going to the office anymore. I mean, that percentage has dwindled heavily. So, you know, you want clothes that you can really, you know, that you can have a business meeting in, that you can go out to lunch in, and then you can go play night. And I think we do just that. But it's, you know, it's kind of a fun challenge to be able to create styles and collections and outfits that do that.
Well, and that's the one more thing that I want to mention about this, and then we'll move on. You know, the golf wear, as you can attest to, and as I can attest to, going back a few decades, was really not all that exciting. And let's be honest, it is so much more interesting now. Do you think that has been a reason too that has attracted more people to the game as they see these young girls and young women on the LPGA as an example, and very stylish, very together, even on the Legends Tour and that, just wearing more stylish clothing? Do you think that has attracted more women to the game as well, that they don't think, oh, this is kind of a stuffy looking, you know, or I don't like that, you know, do you think that is added to some of the interest as well?
I mean, certainly if you were to look at an LPGA pro today and an LPGA pro 40 years ago, the style has changed. And you know, 100% that style has become much more athletic and much more fun and frolicky, and, you know, it definitely attracts you to it. Like, ooh, maybe not I want to look just like that, but I kind of like that style, or I kind of like what she's got going on. And that is, I do think that plays into it. I also think, though, that as golfers across the board, men and women, I think we've learned that fitness has a lot to do with our golf game. And I don't think we knew that 30 years ago. And so I think I would say that overwhelmingly that golfers are more fit than we have probably ever been. And typically that also can kind of translate into the kind of clothes you want to wear, because either you're planning to also incorporate fitness into your day, whether it be yoga or the gym or whatever, or you just feel like, you know what, I might look a little better than my predecessors did, and I want to show it off.
Yeah, and I think, you're exactly right, 100%. And I think, you know, when you're feeling good and you know you're comfortable in the clothing, you're more apt to be engaged as well. And it also, when you're looking at today's styles, you're exactly right. There's a fitness component now that's getting into it. People want to feel better, and they as well as look better. And really, the only way to do that is you've got to take care of yourself. So it's kind of encouraging people, hey, if I want to wear that, you know, maybe I need to hit the gym, or I need to get into some sort of a program. And I don't mean you have to get hardcore or anything, but you've definitely got to do things. And I think you're seeing that across the board, as you said, in both the men's and the women's side of golf. It's becoming more, you know, desirable in a lot of ways than what it used to be. And it's piqued people's interest. I think when people looked at it before, again, it was a different genre, and I get that. But I think with some of the younger generations coming up and having an interest, not just in playing, but getting excited about some of the fashion that's coming out as well. And you guys have definitely, you know, done that, a great job of that as well. You guys also have another LPGA Tour ambassador. Can you tell us a little bit about her?
We do. We have, she's brand new to the LPGA this year. Her name is Gerline Cower, and Gerline resides in Texas. She actually has just recently graduated from Baylor University and played golf there, which is coincidentally where I also played golf. Very coincidental. But anyway, you know, first of all, I did play at Baylor. I was not nearly as good as these girls are now. I mean, there's no way I could make the team today, put it that way. However, I'm still very close to this team, and I love competition. I just love athletic competition. I love golf competition. And so I love to follow them. And when they come out to California to play in the event in Palos Verdes, I go play with the girls. It's really fun for me. And so Gerline and I became, we kind of became friendly because she obviously played for Baylor and I'm close to the team. And so, I've rooted her on from afar. And she recently did well enough in Q school to where she has her full exempt status on the LPGA this year. And I'm just so thrilled for her. And, I went to her just like I'm sure other apparel companies went to her and, begged to dress her. And she did say yes. So that's great. So I'm so happy that we get to be part of her inaugural year on the LPGA Tour. And I just wish nothing but the best from her.
And what's interesting too, Lisa, I think about this, because this really gives you a little bit of an advantage when you have somebody like Gerline who is excited to want to, be involved and obviously wear the clothing, but it gives you a great opportunity to be able to go to her and say, okay, what do you need out there? What is it you're looking for when you're playing? Obviously you want to look good, but it's also about comfort. So does that help you when you're coming up with new designs and that, to be able to get that important feedback? Obviously you've gotten a lot from Monica over, the time that you've been dealing with her, but now you've got another ambassador that's coming in. Is she able to give you some good feedback as well as to what really feels good for her?
He is really good at that. And she's obviously young, so that helps too. So she's, coming at it from a young professional standpoint. I will say that, one of the first things that she mentioned was sun protection. I mean, now when I was 25, we weren't cared about sun protection. That was unfortunately one of the last things we cared about. But, we don't have what we would call quote unquote sun shirts, but all of our shirts have a SPF of 30. And so, which, was great for her. She's thrilled with that. But it's interesting to see how, she wears these, the sun sleeves and things. So whenever she's got a short sleeve shirt on, then she'll wear the sun sleeves with it, or she prefers long sleeve, which, I think that's really changed from girls, who were younger years ago. Sure. That, there was, a lot more sleeveless and things. Now, if she gets more sponsors and things too, we're going to have, logo consideration about sleeves and, front chest and back yoke and all of those fun things. She was very concerned about that, but no, she's really good with, and it does help that I play too. So I'm very consistent with where are the pockets? There have to be pockets and they have to be in the right place. So, and that's if you're riding in a cart or if you're walking, because people sometimes forget about walkers, and you have to have a back pocket big enough to put a scorecard in. I mean, that's something very important. So, and a lot of people don't think about that. It is kind of fun to get feedback from both her and Annika, and see where those align. But yes, I think she's going to be really fun to start designing for, just because, we can now have her in mind a little bit when we're making certain pieces or certain collections.
Right, exactly. And that was my point is, it gives you another perspective in addition to obviously your own and the rest of your team, and of course, Annika, but it gives you, again, another younger person that can sort of pitch in and say, hey, I really like this, or this really feels good or looks good or what have you. And then it helps, to be able to meet, other people's needs as well. I found this really interesting because I was a big fan growing up of going to see drive-in movies. And you just released a really kind of a cool themed collection at the drive-in. Tell us about that. I'm intrigued.
Well, first of all, we aim to have fun. So nearly every group of collective ensembles we put together have some sort of fun theme. So last fall we did a whole 007 capsule where we had all these different collections that were 007 movies, and that was really fun. Well, this spring it's at the drive-in, and the way that it kind of comes about is kind of funny. It's not like we don't really think of the theme so much and then fit everything into it. Typically, Paul, who's our designer, he lives in London, and he and I kind of noodle around with the collections, and typically it's one of them that we say, okay, this looks like, for whatever reason, it looks like this. And so, and initially, so our second collection that we're coming out with soon is Barefoot in the Park. Okay. So that's a great Neil Simon movie. I don't know why, but it's a pink and green group. And it's just, for some reason to me, it said, oh my gosh, this to me looks like Neil Simon. Okay. And so, so we kind of started with that. And then when you kind of take a look at the colors, the one that we've just released, which is called La La Land. So that one it's awesome colors that look like either a beach or a desert sunrise. So it's got this beautiful orange color, which happens to be the color of the year, quote unquote. And then it's got a great purple color. And then we actually just have this really cool palm tree shirt, which I absolutely adore. It's super Euro looking and great. But that one really had this sort of old Hollywood feel. So that one we went with La La Land. And then, you know, and for those of us who've been to a drive-in, you know, it's
right.
In my experience, you go to a drive-in to see fun, frolicky movies. I mean, that is like, I remember when I was a kid going to see Grease at the drive-in. Like, I just remember it.
Yeah.
And so I really wanted, you know, fun movies that people, you know and can relate to, and that, you know, gives them like a nice little, you know, feeling when they hear the name. So, you know, we start with La La Land, then we have Barefoot in the Park, then we transition to Viva Las Vegas because we have to include Elvis in there, and then Roman Holiday, so an oldie but a goodie, and then we end up with Varsity Blues. Varsity Blues being probably the more recent of the films, but that one is our traditional red, white, and blue, and a little bit of stars. But that one has a little bit more. The way we designed it, it has a little bit more of a, like, almost a cheerleader feel to it. So that's why we went with Varsity Blues on that one. But yeah, drive-in movies are just, it's a fun, feel-good thing, and, you know, something we don't get to do that much anymore. So it makes it even feel that much better when you hear about it. So that's what we went with for the summer. Yeah.
Well, I think it's very, very cool that you did that. And, you know, again, like you know, growing up, obviously I had a chance to go to the drive-in many times, and that was always a great experience for, especially younger kids. And obviously as you get into your teen years and things like that. And they still have a few of them around, not very many anymore, unfortunately. I
know. It's sad.
So I feel bad for this. Yeah, for this generation, because you know, they're all into the Netflix, and I get it, but I think, and there's still some that still, you know, partake in a drive-in, but they're missing a pretty interesting experience as far as I'm concerned, anyways. But who knows? Maybe it'll get a resurgence. But
maybe.
So let me do this. Take a real quick break, and we'll come right back and continue our conversation. All right, we'll be back with Lisa O'Hurley in just a moment. Here's a quick message from Golf Tips Magazine.
The following ad is sponsored by Golf Tips Magazine.
Are you tired of being short off the tee? And what about those 3 putts? Forget about it. It's time you got serious about your game. Golf Tips, the most in-depth magazine in the industry. For over 30 years, Golf Tips has delivered expert content such as the latest golf instruction from America's top pros, simple to follow practice and game improvement drills, fitness and mental game tips, equipment, training aids, accessory and apparel reviews, golf destinations and travel tips for every budget, and so much more. Don't miss a single issue. Go to golftipsmag.com and subscribe today.
And don't forget to go to golftipsmag.com. You can get either digital or print version. It's available or you can get both. So if you're traveling and you don't want to lug your printed copy with you, you can leave that at home or at the office, and you can get the digital copy on the fly. So go to golftipsmag.com and subscribe today. All right, I'm here this evening with my very special guest, Lisa O'Hurley, founder and CEO of LOHLA Sports, and we're talking about golf fashion. And I have another question for her. Lisa, welcome back. Peach Fuzz. This is an interesting one as well.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
I can just go in so many different directions. But so, what's the focus here? What is it you? Yeah, okay. What is it? Tell us a little bit about it.
So part of our design process, which, you know, Paul Reese, who is our main designer and creative director, who resides in London. He's got a great background, which includes Golfino. That's how he and I knew each other. But prior to that, he was a designer at Burberry. So he creates these very classic sportswear looks, and but he is he's very entrenched in you know, haute couture, and, you know, he goes to Paris, and he's got his ear to all the new fashion trends. And then me, per se, I'm, you know, here I am in America, and I'm thinking a little bit more about, you know, the American look right now, or what's going on in Los Angeles, and then as well, you know, the golfer. I'm coming at it from a golfer standpoint. So sometimes we'll pick something that's very, that's come right off the runways, and we'll think, oh, that looks great. Let's figure out how to make that into a golf look. Okay. And sometimes that's how we get our styles, which is really fun. Now this year, the year of 2024, in fashion, it has been deemed that the color of the year is this color called peach fuzz. Okay. So we found out about this, I don't know, maybe a year ago, because it comes out, way in advance that this is going to be the color of the year. So of course we take a hard look because, we try to include almost every hot color for a year, into our fashion collections. Peach fuzz, first of all, I told Paul, we got to get rid of the word fuzz.
Right.
I'm not putting the word fuzz anywhere near the clothes. So anyway, but it really is a pretty color, and it's sort of this, it's a very light, soft orange, and it might even have like a little bit of gray in it. I mean, it's just, and maybe a little white. It's just really soft. So we took our version of what they call peach fuzz. The fashionistas call it that. We turned it into sunrise. So, which is, as you can imagine, just as the sun is coming up, that beautiful light orange color. And we've incorporated it into our La La Land collection, which is out now. It's our first spring collection of 2024. So right out of the gate, we are hitting with the color of the year, quote unquote, peach fuzz. Sunrise. Yeah. Sometimes we don't like the names. We got to change it around.
I think it's good. I would leave it just as it is. I think that's fantastic. You have to do things that sometimes are a little bit out of what you would normally have. And I get what you're, where you're coming from. You wanted, I don't know about fuzz. That's just not going to, but you know what? It's different. It's something that's different than, so I don't know. I think I would leave that in, but I get where you're coming from. I want to also mention too, because I think it's important, even though, you're bringing new things each season, you also have really a core collection. And most notably, obviously, the pants. And, what woman doesn't want to look great in a pair of pants? Talk about that. I mean, talk about a little bit about your core collection, because obviously, you're going to bring up new things each season, but you have your tried and true core collection. Talk about that.
Yeah, we do. We have some things that become staples in women's wardrobes, and they want to keep seeing them over and over. And I get that. I feel the same way. It's like when I find, a pair of jeans or a T-shirt or something that I love, I hope it stays around for a long time. So I get the feeling of that. And, since we've started producing collections, by far our top selling piece is a pair of pants that we call the Very Pant. It is a four-way stretch trouser. It has 4 pockets, 2 front, 2 back. It actually has a button and a zipper, so you actually have to button your own pants, which in this day of pull-on pants is sometimes unusual. But it's a 7/8 length, so it's sort of a tapered ankle pant, if you will, on most people. But it's a good length because even for a shorter lady, it's a full-length pant, and for taller, it looks more like a cigarette pant. So it is a good length. And these pants, we probably sell, 3 pair of these pants to every 1 piece of anything else. So these pants they've really taken our company for a ride. I will say that. So they have, and they're great. I love them. They are really light and soft, and they're easily to pack. And you could bring 10 of them with you on vacation. They're just great. So we do create them in core colors every season. So the navy, black, white, red, and then khaki is our newest one for this year. So you'll always see those in the core colors. And then we do include them in fashion colors. So for instance, we are making them in the sunrise color for La La Land, and then a beautiful purple. We've got them coming in pink and green for February. We've got another 10 colors of these coming for spring. So it's a pant that once women have one and they like it, then they want as many colors as they can get. And this is what we have found. And I totally get it. And what's great is you can wear them. You certainly can wear them within our collections and mix and match the tops, but you could also wear them with other golf shirts you have, or you could wear them with a T-shirt and a jean jacket. I mean, I wear mine all the time on the weekend, you know, if I'm going to the movies or going out to dinner or whatever, you know, regardless of actually playing golf. And what's really fun about the Very Pant is it's really a collaboration of me and my husband, because my husband, when he was on Seinfeld, he played the character Dave Peterman, who was the eccentric catalog king of New York City, and who always had these wonderful flowery stories about a button-down shirt. And at one point in the Seinfeld show, John refers to, oh, it's the very pant I trekked the Himalayas in, or whatever it was that he said. But it indicated that it was a specifically great pant. And we have teased about this line for years in our house, years before LOHLA Sport even started, that we would always say, oh, it's the very pant I put on the bed. It's the very pant that I packed, you know, and we would always bring this up. And so when LOHLA Sport came into fruition and we made these pants that we thought were going to be really great, and turned out they were, then I told him we have to name these the Very Pant. And so we use them internally. We use them to market, you know, as if like, oh, it's the very pant I broke 80 in. It's the very pant I won the club championship in, you know, whatever it is. But it indicates that it's a pant that's so great I have to talk about it right now, you know. So that's what we've called the Very Pant. I think I lost him.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, you know what? I apologize. I muted my mic. I muted my mic.
Like, where'd it go?
No, I'm sorry. I apologize. No, so what I was going to say is, or what I was saying was, you know, I agree with what you had just said about the Very Pant. I think it's great when you have a great backstory to something in the collection like that. And then what I was starting to say before I realized I had muted my mic was you do have a men's collection, not as robust, obviously, as the women's collection, but you do have some great stuff there. Do you want to talk just a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So we're in a very unusual position for a ladies' golf clothing brand that for the past 3 years we have been a sponsor on a car at the Indy 500. And, you know, talk about a mix of two things, both equally passionate. I have I sort of had a very unique opportunity through one of our investors to be a sponsor on an IndyCar, which of course I jumped at the chance. It's a very, very male-dominated event, as you might imagine. Mm-hmm. Right. And so after I think the first 2 years, you know, when I maybe heard 1,000 men say, well, where's the men's line? Where's the men's stuff? Right. So then we decided this past year to create a small men's collection. It is a little bit race-inspired, so, you know, the colors are that which you would see a lot in and around a racetrack. And it has sort of like a bit of a fast athletic feel. But we did make in that group, we did make the Very Pant for men, which is great. So we've got them in 3 colors online on our website. And so, so that's I don't know how much or how little we will continue making men's clothes. Women's are special, you know, but it is fun. It's fun to be able to have things for men and, you know, for the husbands and boyfriends and fathers and sons of all of the women who are LOHLA Sport fans.
Well, this is, I think it's great. And I'm actually just sort of snooping online right now, and you've got some really interesting, again, it's not as robust as the women's line, but some great shirts and some great pants and even shorts as well, which, again, it's very difficult
really
to find.
Like the shorts.
Yeah, they're very classy looking and very sporty looking, and it's a great addition to what you already have. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So for the guys that are tuning into the show, there's a little something at LOHLA Sport for you. So yeah, for sure. So we've got a little bit more time left. So I want to pivot now and give you a chance to some bragging rights. We're going to talk a little bit about husband-wife golf because I know you and your husband John, of course, do play, and particularly your favorite home course, Sherwood Country Club in Thousand Oaks, California. You guys had a very interesting win not too long ago. Tell us a little bit about that, and then you can
Ted,
then you
we're
can
still
expand.
gloating about it. You can barely fit our egos through the door. So John and I just collectively won the Sweetheart Open, which is the Valentine's Day husband-wife championship at Sherwood, which is, it's not an easy format, and there's divorce lawyers waiting, but he and I managed to come out victorious. And the funny part is that, to be honest, we didn't think our score was that great. I mean, it's a collective, it's an alternate shot format, right?
Sure.
So, you come out with one score. We didn't think our score was that great, and to be honest, we left before the awards were given out, so, which was very sad of us to say. So they had to call us and say, "Oh, by the way, you won." Anyway, so now it happened to be the same day as it was the morning of the Super Bowl. And so, John is still waiting for our parade. Where's our parade? So Anyway, we'll see if any of that actually comes to fruition, but probably not. But but for right now, we're the victors, and we get to talk about it for a year.
Well, and you'll get to show up next year as the reigning champions and get to defend your title. So maybe they'll do something a little extra special, like put a plaque or something up in the clubhouse.
Yeah,
but congratulations.
We're waiting for anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Congratulations to both of you. But just all kidding aside, but husband and wife golf is becoming more and more prevalent. For years, you didn't have that, but as golf becomes more in, everybody's wheelhouse or vision, if you will, more couples are starting to gravitate to the game as well. I mean, obviously, you and John have a great relationship, and this is something that you enjoy doing together. And it's not for everybody, obviously. Some couples maybe don't need to be on the golf course, hence the divorce lawyers, as you pointed out. But there are a lot that do benefit from that. And you said off air before that you said you guys don't get to, unfortunately, you're so busy with both of your schedules that you don't get to play as much as you'd like, but you do try to make the point of playing together, right?
Oh, we do, for sure. And to be honest, he's my favorite person to play with. And it's one of my favorite parts of our relationship is when we get to play golf together. And, to be honest, when, years and years ago when I was dating, it was always the second question I would ask, because I just couldn't imagine, dating or marrying somebody who didn't play golf, because it was such a big part of my life. And to be able to share that, with someone and to share all of the, all the wonderful things that we know that golf brings, the people you meet, the places you go, the experiences you have, it would be lost if it was just me doing it myself. So the fact that he and I can share in that is tremendous. And, and we both just equally enjoy it. So it's, as John will tell people, that in a successful relationship, not only do you have to like the same things, and you have to hate the same things. And we both also, by the way, we're not skiers. That was the third question in the date. Was we realized that not only did I not ski, but he was not a big skier, and we're like, great. Now we never have to go on a ski trip, although now, as luck would have it, our 17-year-old son loves skiing, so now we take him on a ski trip. But John and I hang out in the lobby.
Right, exactly. Around the fireplace with a glass of wine or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, no,
well,
but,
that's okay. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that we have figured out that if we can go to Deer Valley during Masters weekend, then our son can go skiing and have the time of his life, and John and I can hole up and watch the Masters for 4 days. Right.
It's great. Yeah, it's a win-win, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
And as I said, you're starting to see more and more couples, and I'm sure you guys have seen more couples beginning to play now. And I think there's a number of reasons. I think it's something that they can do together. I think as more women, as we pointed out earlier in tonight's discussion, more women are gravitating to the game now. So and for a multitude of reasons. Some want to just out of curiosity, but some of them too. I've spoken to many over the years, especially the last several years. And one of the things that they've all sort of come out and said was, my husband, boyfriend, whatever, plays, and I would like to play. It's something that he enjoys. It looks interesting. I've never played it, but I'd like to be involved as well. The only thing I always say to them is don't take lessons from your husband. go and get a professional.
That's
and,
a smart move.
you do your thing. Otherwise, again, in comes the divorce lawyers. But all kidding aside, again, congratulations to you guys for your win at Sherwood.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem. Golf and charity go hand in hand, and that's something that you obviously enjoy, helping others. Are you doing some things on that level as well as a result of your success with LOHLA?
Personally, we do a lot in that realm. John and I both do. In fact, we host 2 charity golf tournaments that are celebrities are involved, and then amateur golfers are involved. One of those is at Mayacama in Northern California, and that cause is it's kind of an umbrella organization of the Sonoma County Children's Charity, because Sonoma County as everybody thinks, oh, it's so wonderful, it's wine country. Well, it is, but it's also farming country, and there are a lot of people who live in in a really expensive place, who may not be making as much as everybody else. And those kids, there are so many children there who just need support in all sorts of different aspects. So that tournament is great. And that is, as I say, at Mayacama. And then we have another charity event in Las Vegas, out at Lake Las Vegas, that is for the Epilepsy Foundation. So my husband's sister, when he was in high school, her sister passed away of epilepsy. And he has been a staunch supporter of the Epilepsy Foundation for decades, to be honest. And and it's a disease, or a condition rather, that can be controlled versus with the right medication and diet, and sometimes canines are involved in terms of being able to spot a seizure, and there's so much that's being done in the progression of being able to live with epilepsy, that he's really involved with that as well. So that's been great. Now, in terms of LOHLA Sport, I donate to a lot of charities, and I think it's really important to do so. So whatever, I realize I'm just an apparel brand. There's only so much I can do, but I do find that it's a really it's a great way to give back. So as much as I can, I will do donations for different charities that he and I are involved in, or maybe even not, maybe just, friends know friends and know friends. But, we do try to give back as much as we can. Yes, for sure.
And I think, a lot of people don't realize and I don't recall, unfortunately, the gentleman's name, but I've been doing this show this is my 12th season now. And one of the earlier seasons, I had a gentleman that actually wrote a book about golf charities, and I forget how many he said, but it was just thousands upon thousands. And he said by far golf was the number one fundraiser for charities above all other sports, including football, baseball, by far. And it was just really interesting just how many different charities that there are for different things. And golf is, for some reason, that community has really come together. And I just want to very quickly, and obviously you don't need to do it now, but at some point, maybe over the next little bit, I would love for you to send me the information on the event that you guys host in Las Vegas.
Sure, absolutely.
For the charity. I'll be more than happy if you can give me the particulars,
also,
the dates and times and things like that.
I will do that, Ted, and I will be remiss. I've actually, which is horrible to say, I've just thought of one more. And this is an event that is really near and dear to John and I. So we are. John has been a 12-year celebrity ambassador to a charity called Child Help, which is based out of Scottsdale, Arizona. And talk about at the drive-in, the 2 women who are the leaders, co-founders of Child Help were they played girlfriends on the Ozzie and Harriet show. One of them dated Elvis, which is just amazing to me. But they during a USO tour, they came across some orphans that they helped save and built an orphanage for, and then that translated into them coming here to America and then being called on by Nancy Reagan to start the largest, basically, child abuse charity in the nation, which is what they have now. So we have this golf tournament coming up. Now, this is a really special one, I have to say. And I think it's already sold out for this year, but it's really cool because we only get to bring 36 people. But Larry Ellison, you know, he owns this his own, basically his own house property in Palm Springs, which used to be called Porcupine Creek, and now it's called Sensei Porcupine Creek. It's now a 6-star resort. But we only get to bring 36 players. We're the only charity that he lets come on this property. And this property, I mean, I've never seen a golf course manicured like this. And I've seen a lot of golf courses. This one, it's unbelievable. So we're actually about to have that in a couple of weeks. So it is, and that one, you know, that's a pricey ticket to play in that one. But it's because that course is so hard to get on. So, you know, but it is amazing how it's so great that we're able to use the sport that we love to give back and to be able to generate funds for these charities that need it.
Yeah, and it exactly was my point, is that, you know, golf has really, I mean, obviously the PGA, the LPGA Tour, when they're in the various communities, obviously a lot of money's raised for local charities and things like that, and it's just amazing. And when I said it earlier, I didn't mean to discount other sporting organizations. I mean, they do fantastic jobs too, but for some reason, golf just seems to, you know, has been elevated to the top of that heap, if you will, of great organizations that has done that. So, but yeah, send me the information on all of them at some point, and
100%
I'll be more than
I will.
happy
Yes.
to you know, promote them on the show and so forth.
Thank you.
I think a great way to sort of end our time together, I think any successful business person would never rise to the level that they are without not only good supporters around you, like obviously in your case, John, and other, I'm sure, members of your family and friends, but the supporters and obviously the people that buy your products and things like that. You're obviously someone, much like myself, who is obviously very gracious and has a lot of gratitude for those that have helped get you to where you are in life. Would you like to say a few words to those people at this point before we wrap up, and just sort of a thank you, or whatever you feel appropriate that you would like to say to all the people that have really supported you and LOHLA Sports?
Oh, absolutely, Ted. Wow, thank you so much for the opportunity to do that, because, I mean, since day one, even when we had the idea of LOHLA Sport, we've come across so many people who have been supportive. I mean, I have these wonderful group of 5 investors who came together in the middle of COVID, bless them, to say, you know, okay, Lisa, we believe in you, and go do this thing. And, you know, and one of the things that I will say is that we warehouse everything at our office. So every piece of clothes that leaves our office that's bought either for a country club or it's bought online, it is going through our office. And many times it's me packing that piece of clothes. And one of my favorite things is to look at everybody's name. And I'm like, and, you know, it's like, oh, I'm thankful for Diane. I'm thankful for Becky. I'm thankful for Nancy. You know, like, thank you, ladies, for participating in buying our clothes. I mean, it's truly like it makes my day. And I, you know, even 4 years later, whenever I see somebody who's ordered something, I make sure to, like, look at their name. I'm like, that's somebody who I'm very thankful for, 100%. And, you know, I plan to. It's funny because we name a lot of our tops and things with ladies' names, so that's how I'm going to start to give back to them too. Is a few lovely people are going to get shirts named after them, and I appreciate that so much. So I'm super thankful for the business, and thankful to any of your listeners who are LOHLA Sport fans. I really appreciate it.
Well, I'm happy to give you that opportunity. And on that note, for those tuning into the broadcast, you can go to LOHLAsport.com, find all of the things that we've and more what we've been talking about this evening. And maybe you've got that special someone that, or maybe yourself, that you want to go and purchase something that is on and available on Lisa's website, LOHLAsport.com. And don't forget the guys, there is a little something there for them too. Birthdays coming up, whatever, Father's Day, so you can go there as well. But Lisa, thank you very much. I know you've got to go, and you and John have something that you have to attend to this evening. So I really appreciate you spending all this time with me. And as we talked about, You're going to be joining me a little bit later on in the season on our Tuesday morning broadcast with my good friend and co-host Cindy Miller, who's an LPGA professional, on the Women of Golf show. So we'll tee that up, as they say, and have you come back and talk a little bit more about LOHLA Sport. But thank you very much for spending some time with me this evening.
Ted. I enjoyed every minute. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Have a great evening, and we'll see you we'll talk to you, I guess, in probably a couple of months.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, Lisa. All right. That was Lisa O'Hurley, founder and CEO of LOHLA Sports. Again, you can go to LOHLAsport.com. That's LOHLA sport.com is the website, and you can get all of the see all of the wonderful product lines that she has, including the men's section as well. Go there. I believe they've actually got some specials going on right now, so check that out. And very interesting, very just a wonderful person. I had the opportunity of having spoken with her a number of times on the Women of Golf, and of course this was the first time I had her on Golf Talk Live, so I'm very grateful for that, and she'll be joining us, as I said, a little bit later on the season. On that note, we're going to wrap up here real quick. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into tonight's broadcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you missed part of the broadcast or you want to hear it again, if you go to blogtalkradio.com/Golf Talk Live and just scroll down to the on-demand section, the fully recorded version will be available shortly, probably within the next few minutes, so you can catch that, or you can listen any time when it's convenient for you. The on-demand section will have that program front and center at the top, and you can scroll down and listen to all of the previously aired shows as well. I've got 12 seasons of them, so there's plenty to listen to. Thank you, everybody. God bless. Have a great weekend. And don't forget, next week we go to full broadcast. The Coach's Corner will be returning next Thursday, March the 7th, so stay tuned for that. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this week's broadcast of Golf Talk Live. Ted would like to thank this evening's special guest for joining him on the show. Remember to join Ted every Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. Central on Golf Talk Live. You can also listen to Golf Talk Live on any of these social media platforms: iTunes, Stitcher, Tunein, Castbox, TalkStreamLive, and of course Spotify. Be sure to follow Ted on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you're interested in being a guest on the show, send an email to Ted at ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. This has been a production of the iGolf Sports Network.